Hi there, it's Michelle Patterson, and welcome to the Real Share Daily Huddle, where we have a complete love fest on each other. And we talk about all the amazing things, the great things that I have come into contact with, and truly having a love fest. Today is really special because it's the first guest that I've had on since I've started doing the Daily Huddle that I don't know firsthand. But when I got on the phone with her and started doing the podcast, I started realizing, oh my gosh, we know so many of the same people. So I want to welcome you, Felicia Searcy, to this podcast, and thank you for just enjoying uh, this afternoon with me.
Michelle, it's my joy. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So let's start about the people that we know that bring us so much love. And the first one I wanted to mention, and I'm going to hit on your bio, but one of my favorites is Catherine Ford.
Yeah, yeah. Catherine and I have known each other now, gosh, 5 or 6 years, and we met as we were both studying with the same mentor, Mary Morrissey, and we
Oh,
just
another favorite,
yeah.
which I'm excited because I'm doing a whole +1. And so that's who Catherine had said. I said, Catherine, who's your +1? Who do you want to have at Love Fest 2020? She's been instrumental
Yeah.
in helping with this whole project. And so she had come out and said, yes, I absolutely want you on board. Hey, in fact, I see Ian has actually joined too as well. I'm going to go ahead and unmute him. And so let's talk about this some more. But we've got Mary Morrissey, who Catherine had said she is inviting her to be her +1.
Nice. Good.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. And I want to point out, because I have every week I've asked Ian, my biochemist, my wellness provider, doctor extraordinaire, the guy who keeps the smile on my face every single day. I was telling Felicia this, Ian. I said, we got a celebrity sighting that's coming on board. And he's turned out to be one of my closest, friends, definitely to my family. And what I wanted to say in front of everybody is that Ian Mitchell, you, my friend, have been shared. I am going to tell the entire world at this Love Fest about the biggest heart that you have and how loving you are to this planet.
Wow.
That's kind of amazing.
Wow,
Great. I feel like one of those. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TV. That's.
Well, I was telling Felicia about you as we were prepping for the call, and I said, I've got a surprise because I'm going to be, sharing to Ian that not only is he getting a ticket, I'm referring to them as these. It's like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's these golden tickets, you get to come to my Zoom room and I have 1,000 seats and then we're live streaming this out. But what I'm asking is I'm asking all my wellness team family members, my superheroes, the people that have lifted me up all my 50 years of being on this planet. I'm asking them to come and celebrate May 2nd with me as the biggest love fest to hit the planet. Because what we're going to be doing is we are going to be sharing with each other, what's working, what's out there, who got us through, the challenging spots that we've gotten through. And Ian, I have to tell you, I mean, the journey that we've had, Ian is a part of a team of doctors that I put together. I figured, Lance Armstrong, had a whole team when he was went through his diagnosis of cancer. I thought did a very smart thing and put together a team of doctors. And I've done some great work on this planet. So I thought, what, I'm a national leader. I want to be able to create this love fest, and I want to bring together the people that have, loved on me and helped me through my journey. I was told And Felicia, this is something that I feel like as I'm on the planet, this is one thing that I'm going to make sure, um, as I'm on the planet, that does not happen, that we encourage our doctors to lead by example and follow, Ian Mitchell, how he showed up. He showed up in total love and gave me hope when I was told I had 90 days to live.
Wow.
He was one of the 45 doctors and wellness providers that I went to, and then put this team together. So we've been meeting for the last year, as well as my cannabis providers, as well as individuals. Catherine Ford has been a part of that team, and then I've brought these amazing, fabulous doctors. But I want to start this party off with Love Fest 2020 by acknowledging my favorite biochemist, doctor on the planet, is Ian Mitchell.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank
Ian.
you.
That's insanely high praise. I genuinely hope that I can help a lot of people and make the impact. And you're right. The one thing I will say that's true is I do show up just from a place of absolute love, because the way I see it is really my only job is basically to, because I'm just a scientist, but there's a bit of power in that, and everybody I think thinks, well, I'm just a for that. And the one thing that I definitely can contribute is I have some missing pieces, and I know a lot of fellas. I mean, your whole wellness team family, it's a lot of guys who are really insightful in a lot of different fields, and they all bring components of it because it takes an entire community. It takes a village effectively. And I come at that from a standpoint of absolute love, because I'm just doing what I would do if it were, my mother, my daughter, whomever was in that position. If they had the skill set, they'd be doing exactly for themselves what I'm able to do. And that's really, honestly, that's all I'm doing is I'm just trying to approach it, the golden rule. This is how I wish everyone showed up. So I'm attempting my best effort at being the change that I want to see in the world. So happy to be of assistance anytime.
I have to share with the audience, because my husband and I have called Ian over the weekend, and and we've been, I mean, it's, when you're not holding food down, and
It's rough.
you've been throwing up for 10 days straight, and you're not, it's just not a good, it's rough. And that's where I wanted to say thank you, because every time I've gotten off the phone, and Felicia will love this, because every time I've gotten off the phone, I've felt hope. I didn't feel despair. And I think
Good.
that there's an opportunity for our wellness providers around the planet to really follow this lead of how you show up in love, and really just have that patient feel like, what, there's hope, and recognizing, it's God, and that individual who are co-creating. The doctors are there to provide hope and provide love, and to look at all the different possibilities. And I just want to say thank you for always being a true collaborator.
Sure.
And truly going after it like a scientist.
Yeah, we don't always have the answers, but if we earnestly approach it and really do everything that we can, what my schedule is. You guys are 2 hours behind me, and we've talked until 1 a.m. your time before. It's a passion. I don't know that there's anything else I would want to do. Where I can help and contribute. I love that. It's truly a joy. So, and it's a collaborative effort, because we're supposed to approach it with zeal, with everything that we have. And your entire team, you do truly have a rock star team put together.
Yes, I do.
There are some dauntingly sharp minds on
right?
Yeah, truly. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I literally, how that happened. I said to myself, and I made a deal. I said, all right, God, I am not going to get to the pearly gates and have not gone out of my way, scoured the planet to find the individuals that show up in total love. I know the resources are available on the planet. And I know that
Resources
there's
are.
loving souls that can come together. So yes.
That's true. I mean, your protocol is, I mean, the cornerstone of your protocol really is your diet, and which is admittedly for what you're doing, it's difficult to do, but you've been a boss. I mean, you've really gone after it and hit every mark. And I mean, wouldn't you think that there's a lot of rigor in it? I mean, it's not the easiest go, I'm sure. Yeah,
All I can
your
say
life,
is
your
right
life
about now,
experience
I
doesn't
just want to say thank you
pass.
to my girlfriends, the Karens, the Kathys, the Sherry. I mean, they literally listen in on the show, and they have been making me food because for some reason, I would much rather talk in front of 10,000 people than make myself a meal. It doesn't. And then to have all the restrictions, of what it needs to be keto and it can't be sugar, which by the way, I would love for you to share. This is what's so exciting. And I know the listeners and Felicia, I mean, we have some of the same friends, and why everybody wants to get involved with this Love Fest. And the reason why is because we're bringing these pieces together, but we're also being very honest about what we need, and we're not making it about any fear tactics or any shaming, but it's just, what do you need help with? And I communicated with my girlfriends. It's like, I need help with, cooking. I need help with getting my family meals. I need help with getting, this is what I need help with. And so it's just been absolutely beautiful where we're sharing that information. And one of which was I created the Real Share, and one of your patients actually created a cookbook.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So let's talk
no
about this
sugar
because we're
for
going to have
Manfred.
them on. So
Yeah, they're
no
great. Yeah,
sugar for
for
Manfred.
Manfred. Right. Yeah. So Florian has a brain tumor, and he's in Germany, and he's working with a really great team of doctors there. And there's a lot of research from the University of Ulm that they're basing everything on in terms of using methadone to open up tumor surfaces. It's G-coupled protein receptors on tumor surfaces, and they use the methadone to bind to the mu opioid receptor on the tumor surface, and it kind of it unlocks it, if you will, and it allows the chemotherapy to go inside, and then it also changes the efflux, which is just the time that something stays inside the tumor before it gets pumped out. And so the things go in, they do their damage to the bad cells, and then they go out, and it also buffers the effect a bit so that the chemo or radiation or whatever you're doing, whatever particular protocol you're on, doesn't have as much of a detrimental effect. And so it's pretty marvelous. And so they brought me into the loop and asked me, what I could do and kind of how to work on the protocol that they were working with. And so I started working with their doctor and giving them some ideas of other things they could do. And part of it was this really rigorous ketogenic diet. And so in typical German fashion, Florian's wife, Alpi decided that she would become kind of the guru of all things ketogenic. And I have never in my life been asked so many questions about any one specific thing. She, very true to German engineering form, said, okay, if this is this and this and this, and would come back to these questions, and I'd write these long emails out and describe everything in detail. And then I'd get another email that was longer, and I'd write back on that, and then another that was longer. And it just kept going until they stopped. And I thought, okay, well, Alpi really developed total specificity around the entire thing. And she would dial it down to the gram, she was actually to the milligram. I mean, she really dialed everything in. And so they started following this. And Florian has a glioblastoma multiforme. So it's a really aggressive brain tumor. Typically,
And
oncology.
to add to that, I mean, was told had zero chance to live. So we had talked about this, and I see some others that are, popping on here. Tia Walker. I mean, we've
Yeah.
got some other individuals, and so it makes my heart want to really share. And I mean, Felicia, she's a transformational coach, international speaker, author, also a minister. And I think that's what's
Nice.
resonating is this, magic that's happening right here, where I'm seeing folks come in and really pulling these individuals together. But when Ian called me and he goes, Michelle, your shit is at work. He goes, let me tell you what's happening. He goes, one of my patients was given 0 chance to live. And I started comparing the different protocols, the different logs that you've been doing. And so that's what's been happening is we've been stepping into our yes. He's been figuring out how to direct me and collaborate with my other doctors. So we have, Dr. Leanne Keneally, who is over at the New Center for Medicine. I mean, it's been so exciting just to see when doctors show up and wellness providers show up in love and not fear. Then we're really able to get to the meat of it. So much so creating a cookbook, that they name No Sugar for Manfred, and a beautiful one.
It is. It's truly beautiful. And Manfred, for those who are wondering, they named the tumor Manfred, and which I said, why Manfred? And they said, oh, Manfred, it's a great Nazi name, and no one likes Nazis. So,
so what's happening? So Felicia, what's happening is you've got. They're going to be coming on Friday, and you've got our nutritionist, who's Liliana, who it took me 9 months to find her. She is absolutely, not of this world. And Ian, they all work together now. So I've created this wellness team family.
Great.
And so I have 0 fear. Listen to this. I mean, we at one point were looking at, I haven't had to do chemo or radiation or anything, but there was a point where it had metastasized into my spine. And so Ian and all the doctors said, we've talked about it unanimously. We feel like you need to go ahead and have radiation. And Ian then explained it. He goes, Michelle, look at it as like an eraser. Look at it as an eraser. And when he said that to me, I thought, you know what? I put this team together. I put these group of doctors together. I know their heart. They show up in love. They've been giving me this advice. I mean, not looking at, how much money I have or how much money I'll make them or how much, but just, what, we need to take care of our sister. Let's take care of our sister. And in doing so, we can take care of, many, many other people. And so I love you so much. I know how busy you are. And so Eddie, I tell my guests, I have regulars. I've got my doctor, my nutritionist, my cannabis provider. I mean, there's just a handful of like 5 that whenever they want to pop on my show so that they can help love, like they have done so beautifully on me, and they can help love on our wellness team family and our tribe. I'm going to make room for them always.
Well, so, thank you.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate the fact that you've shared your experience, because it truly is. It's compelling and it's brave, because not everybody wants to come out and admit, that something is going on, which is kind of, when you truly cut it down, we all have issues. Everybody has things going on in their lives. I texted you that I was, running a bit late because I just gave my daughter a COVID test and it came back.
Oh my God.
That was literally just
ago.
And so it's, well, and that's okay. She's phenomenal health, and so I'm not terribly concerned. She'll be fine. But it's still, I mean, that's the thing is, there was, when we were at the house, I was giving tests to a couple of the different members of the family, and because we had all been, I suppose in theory, exposed at this point. And so my daughter tested positive for both IgG and IgM antibodies, which means she's in the midst of it. She's started to develop some, IgG and immunoglobulin G antibodies. So she's getting the resistance built up in her system, but she still has IgM antibodies. So she's in the acute phase, and she was in bed and feeling sick, and, which is completely anomalous for her, because again, she's, just in phenomenal health.
How old is she, Ian? How old is she?
17.
17.
Yeah, and she's one of those rare people whose pulse ox is literally 100. She's the only person I know who always hits 100 in her pulse ox, and her pulse ox was at 98, and her pulse was elevated. It's usually in the 60s, and it was over 100. And so she.
I mean, what does she think about her dad? Because these are the people that I run with, Felicia, and you're part of this family now. I think that's what happens is when you're told you have 90 days to live, you only meet with people that you love and that are loving. I mean, literally, I'm
Yeah.
like, if I can't, like somebody else can deal with it. My job 100% is to bring joy. So what does she think about her dad? Because I know you've been working with the governor's office to come up with a treatment. I mean, you're a big deal. And so for her,
I'm not really a big deal, but I like
yeah, you
I like
are.
using my brain where I can help. Yeah, and I've been kind of spitballing ideas back and forth with a couple of people. I know that I had gone over some things, and it's been reviewed by some from guys that are kind of on my board of woo super
Yeah.
talk to, and they've actually listened to some of the things that I've come up with recently, because it's different. I may not be the brightest guy across all domains, but I pride myself on creativity because I am very definitively out of the box. And I think with this, looking at it, it's intriguing because normally I don't actually believe that an injectable is going to come up with a vaccine. Just the idea of having an injectable vaccine in a short order doesn't really seem terribly plausible to me. So I think um, people need to really start working on something that's a little more definitive. And yeah, I've told you this, and there have been people that have reached out to me that want me to work on something, want me to develop something, and some of them, yeah, there's some governmental people, and it's interesting. But I think that we're going to be much better off if we start looking at all of the different ways that everyone can bolster their systems. I mean, there's some baseline things that everybody should be doing. Everybody should definitively get some vitamin C, some vitamin D, quercetin, things like that are just great across the board. I think my daughter's particular take on it is, oh, dad wants me to take something else. I don't I don't think she registers insofar as like, oh, great, I have access to really good care and cutting edge tech. I think she just thinks it's her wackadoo dad that's making sure she takes some
Yeah.
additional compound that she can't pronounce for some reason that she's really not sure about. And that's I think that's kind of par for the course.
Well, and I think it's helpful for us all to know that, okay, great, is that the relationship we have with our kids is pretty consistent, because my kids are like, yeah, not,
It's
you're
it's
not
funny.
that cool, mom. You're
It's
not that cool.
hysterical.
Right.
Yeah, it cracks
So,
me up. My dad, the same thing. I talked to my dad and said, okay, look, you're in the prime category for somebody. You've got lung issues, you've got congestive heart failure, you've had a heart. I'm sure that this virus has a picture of you in its wallet and it's out to get you, and you need to do X, Y, Z. And he goes, well, the guy at the health food store said maybe I should do this, and I said, yeah, I understand that. Hold on, let me send you something. So I sent him one of my patents. It's a 30-page patent about exactly that topic. And I sent it to him, and I called him back and said, did you get the email? And he said, yeah, okay, fair enough. It's one of those things, that I think just because we're all family, you never really
pay attention to it. Well,
know. What could my kid possibly know?
yeah, exactly. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today, especially in light of
Oh, my pleasure.
the
Yeah.
recent news that you got. And Tuesdays, everybody report back. I know that there's individuals that are on the show because they come specifically to hear your updates. And so we look forward to having you next week, Ian.
Awesome.
And giving us the updates. And thank you so very much.
You are
and
very
we wish
welcome,
your
as always.
daughter, we plan on hearing an update next week about your daughter as well.
Yeah,
So
she'll be ducky. She's in great health. I'm sure she'll be fine. And as always, yeah, I plan on coming in on popping back up on Friday. I'm looking forward to seeing Alpi and Florian. I think I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the cookbook yet, but it is fantastic.
I have not, but
Oh
I
my God.
absolutely, in fact, so and I want to actually throw in my new friend Felicia, because she's turning 60. And what I was asking them for, Felicia, was I want a cookbook. They're part of our tribe. They're the Real Share family. And I said, what I want is a cake that is made for no sugar for Manfred. so no sugar, no. And so I think
Alfie's
Felicia, you
working
want
on
that
it.
as well.
I do. Yeah, I'm pretty much off refined sugar. I do a few natural sugars, but yeah, I would love a.
So I'm going to share, and we'll be sharing that on Friday. So I can't wait to see you again. And so thanks so much, Ian.
My
I will
pleasure
let
as
you get
always.
back to saving the planet and helping the planet heal.
All right. Much love. Bye.
Talk to you soon. Thanks so
Nice
much.
meeting you.
Nice to meet you too. Bye.
What a great place to what a great place, Felicia, to actually meet somebody. And
Yeah.
yeah, but he's 1 in 8 billion. I mean, truly, and is so that was actually really really special. And I want to.
Well, and here's the thing is that you attracted that, right, Michelle? So it's a real testament of who you are and how you move in the world.
Thank you, because
Yeah.
I like it like that too. I like it to flow. I like it to be really spontaneous and just recognize that the universe has our back. The
Absolutely.
universe is totally working with us, and I think sometimes we get so tense and I know for me is that control freak, and it's like we don't have to do that when beautiful things happen. Where, how many people could say, the head of their team of doctors, is popping in on their podcast every week to share with their loved ones. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
best way that I can share my genius is with my friends and family is by sharing, Ian, by sharing you and all the gifts and how you're showing up on the planet.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So let me tell the audience a little bit because I want to talk about this and I want to talk about the word transformational coach and what that means because you're an international speaker. I feel like I'm one of the experts in identifying, especially since I had 18,000 people sign up to be a speaker for my California Women's Conference. So I'm
Wow.
very particular about, who
Yeah.
I bring in to be part of the megaphone. And you're also a minister who is passionate about your dream. And you've helped thousands create the lives they love. And I think that's why, you have, Shirley who recommended you over. I mean, there's so many people that you came so highly, highly recommended. And then for over 20 years now, you've worked with people from all walks of life who are seeking the spiritual side of success. And I think right now you have so many people, as we go through this journey and we're in this creative space that they're really seeking that connection, with God, with their spiritual guide. And you are a highly sought after speaker. I know that because I only bring on the best.
Thank you, Michelle.
I got that, and you've shared the stage with my favorites, Mary Morrissey. I mean, I love Sandra Yancey with
Yeah.
eWomen Network, who's just phenomenal. Les Brown, who we're going to be having on board. Gosh, all these people are going to be at Love Fest 2020. They're going
That's
to be there for May
amazing.
2nd. Yeah.
Yeah.
And her proven dream activation code helps folks just like you accelerate your results as you create a richer, more fulfilling life. And I love this. Your purpose is your passion to empower you to discover and express your best self as you create the life that you love. Your dream is her passion. And that to me, I think that when you fall in love with someone's dreams and that you
Yes.
help them express that, that is just such an example of being a true, just having a true love fest.
Well, again, here's the deal. Yes, I mean, it's an amazing thing to fall in love with other people's dreams, but it's realizing that when people say yes to that which brings them most alive, that life force moving through them in a very tangible, concrete way in the form of their dream, it's the process that the universe, life force, infinite intelligence, God, whatever you want to call it, uses to grow us and wake us up to even more of our magnificence. And it is the way we bring our highest contribution. It is our highest form of love.
For us.
For
To do
us.
this.
That
Makes so much sense.
Well, think about it. When you're living from the question, what would I love? Which is the holiest, most reverent, most profound question, because it is the conversation with the source of love itself. It is and you step into it as expansive as it is. it is your highest form of love. It is your highest act of love. And so that's what I'm up to, helping people discover and unlock that.
Okay. So I now know why you're on the show. That is awesome, because that's what's happening. It's bringing people together, and I feel it too. It's like putting the pieces together of like spokes in a wheel. And it's why I know I'll always work in a team environment, because for me, my gift, my genius, the best way that I can show love is by being that connector, by being that woo and pulling people together so that we can, you know, figure out what's possible on the planet. We can bring, these thought leaders, these humanitarians, these doctors, to heal, each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and you sent me some things to ponder, right? And around the wellness journey. And I think when people really own that they have such a significant purpose to bring. I was in a conversation earlier with somebody who was just struggling. The people that are watching you, Michelle, you are a magnet for purpose-filled people, right? I mean, people would not be attracted to your community if they didn't have a deep sense of wanting to bring a greater contribution. The
And they're so much
breakdown,
fun to be around, by the way. I mean, that's why,
yeah,
Felicia, I think I'm having the time of my life right
I
now.
can see it.
I am like having a blast. And I think it's because I'm hanging out with my peeps. I'm hanging out with people that don't want to settle, that just they know their purpose. They know why they're put on the planet, and they want to share it with the rest of the world.
Well, the thing that I sometimes run into with people is that they know they have purpose, but the disconnect happens for them where they don't believe
Mhm.
that they really bring value, or they deserve it, or that they can believe it. And my personal belief and experience is that if you cannot own your value and that your dream matters, it it subverts, it goes underground. And I think that that is such a key cause of dis-ease, that in order for us to truly be these healthy, vibrant beings, we have to be living on purpose. We have to be living that thing that brings us most alive. And we need to know that that desire matters and that it makes a difference. And so to help people really own this desire coming through them, and to understand that it's actually not your desire, because oftentimes people get embarrassed by it, or they think, oh my God, I'm being so grandiose, or who do I think I am, or this is being selfish. And it's like, no, you got to understand the origin of that desire. It's not you going to God with a prayer, please help me do this. It's God coming to you saying, please help me do this, by being the vessel through which this next higher iteration, this next contribution, this next, form of beauty comes through in the form of this desire that I'm giving you. And when we can
I want
ground,
every single person to hear this. I mean, and that's why when people come to me, they'll say, Michelle, what do you need help with? I love you. How can I be involved? And I said, I love that you love me, but I want you to tap into what lights you up, like what totally fills you up. And they'll often say to me, what do you think it is? I mean, sometimes they just don't know.
yeah,
They
yes,
don't know what it
exactly.
is. And that's when it's like you're genius, because I can see it. And it's part of the reason I think being in recruiting. And I love that this is the message that we're having today, especially off of the cuff of having the conversation with Ian
Yeah,
and his gift and his genius. Because what happens is when we come together as spokes of a wheel and we celebrate each other's genius, we
yeah,
lift everyone up. And it's interesting because over the years, I've been a CEO for different companies. I've worked for CEOs. And it's interesting because there was one CEO in particular, and I won't say who it is, but he sat with me and he told me about his mission and his dream. and he was very, very negative um, on uh on members of the team and put together, I looked at him and I thought, you know what, that is the problem, is that he was looking at what his own personal mission was versus what he was building
Mhm.
together and pulling the pieces together and then celebrating their genius, and they quite frankly didn't want to continue to engage because they didn't feel like they had ownership in it. It
Yeah.
wasn't part of, it was a part of them. And to me it's like, when you show up, you know, as a collective, when you show up as a love fest, when you come together, you know, the same reason why you're on the show. It was like, you know what, I can help support her. This is what I do. I help people recognize their genius, recognize
Yeah.
their passion, and not discount it. I mean, not discount it.
Yeah, not only not discount it, but to take a stand for them to, wow, they're coming to really discover and know it, right? It's like, because this is what you do, Michelle. This is what you do so brilliantly. You take a stand for people's brilliance until they can take a stand for it themselves.
Mm.
And so when you bring the different spokes of the wheels together, there are all these different aspects of elements that speak to people where they are. And so, you know, if you think about a wheel, you know, a wheel is that instrument that helps us move, right? And so as you're bringing just these beautiful, all these different elements together, you're creating this beautiful vehicle that people can move in, and it's you taking a stand for people and their brilliance and their beauty and their contribution, until they can take a stand for themselves.
Well, I mean, thank you for that. And I was telling my husband this. I said, I love what I do. I so much. And I told him, I said, you know, what's so exciting and you said it earlier, is just by attracting other individuals who have a similar passion, you know, to really pull the pieces together. You know, people like Tia Walker, you know, is joining in, who worked directly with me with the California Women's Conference and honoring women and doing this entire award ceremony. You know, you've got
Wow.
Rose Tafoya, you know, who doesn't miss a show. Um, you know, best friend.
Wow.
You know, before the show, I was on the phone with her. We were crying together and, you know, talking about what magic we want to create, and pulling this together. And then you've got, you know, Alora Sokola, who, you know, had her whole thing is in messaging. And she says, you know what you do? What you're doing is you are crowdsourcing miracles.
I love
I
that.
love that when she
That's
said that.
great. Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And so my question to you is, because I'm so excited on, like I said, the people that are coming into my life right
Mhm.
now, because there's no accidents
Yeah.
at all. And I know, I mean, even, you know, even the folks that I spoke to, you know, about Love Fest, you know, 2020, who, a very, very dear friend of mine, Ryan Long, who put on the city summit, and, you know, a brilliant, brilliant, loving heart promoter. And I talked about this, and he had died last month in a horrible car accident.
Mm.
And I was telling, you know, the team, and I was telling, you know, Rose, this is that, you know, this is about, you know, bringing in all that goodwill, all that love out there, and really creating a stage, a platform for people to come in and shine, you know. And that's why it's so exciting, because when you have individuals that aren't afraid to speak up, you know, when you have a doctor who's doing a fabulous thing, that he's,
Mhm.
you know, open to all possibilities that are going to be healing, you know, I mean, that's, I want to share with the world. You can have that same relationship, you know, with your wellness team family.
Exactly. Yeah, you're doing a beautiful job of presencing an alternative to what many people's experience has been. and then supporting them and saying, you can do this as well. And then there's the methodology, right? So it's inspiration's one thing. That when people say, I did this and you can do it, it's beautiful and it's inspiring. And then and here's how to do it.
Yeah.
And there's the proof, right? When you're able to hand over a system or specific steps to take that will work for everybody, right? It's just like saying, here's how to wire your house for electricity. Oh, by the way, we can have this light that we can just flip a switch on. And you can have this too. And here's how to do it. And that's what you're doing, Michelle. It's, you're not just, wow, this is nice and inspiring and you can do this. But as you're bringing people on, you're giving people the methodology that they can then take and apply and say, wow, yes, I can do this as well.
I have to share this with you. So I have just some beautiful, beautiful people in my life that just light me up. And one of the lessons that I learned over this last 2 years is my business partner, Kim Kovacs. And she taught me that I don't need to go in and do everything on my own.
Yeah.
I can have amazing business partners. I can have, and I can ask that because I'm loving on myself. I can expect that and really, really have that real share where you sit down and you talk about, each person's strength and their genius and what they're bringing to the table. And that's where we ended up, creating a company, selling it in 5 months, had this, tremendous ride. I mean, was in Vogue magazine and all of this notoriety because we did it together. We came together and I was able to stay in my lane and do my wheelhouse and do my genius and my gift. And she was able to stay in her lane and do what she does. And so we start going through this path of recognizing that because our passion is our work. I'm one of those people. I can't tell the difference between work and play.
Yeah.
Sometimes sometimes I'm frustrated. I'm like, can't I just be like, turn it off and go home? But
no,
can't. I love it so much. And so that's when you're doing it all the time and when you could stay in that lane. And that's what that taught me is if we can go ahead and have the real share conversations and talk about what really lights you up and not have those emotional triggers that come up and say to you, and it's that, that doubting Thomas or, that monkey chatter that we oftentimes get where, oh, we can't do it. We're not good enough. And what she would say to me is, there's no Michelle Patterson, there's nobody like you. And that's why I feel like, and I would look at her, it's like, I could not do the stuff that she does. I can't, it doesn't light me up, doesn't make me happy. I don't want to do it, but to be able to come in and point out a team that's coming together and to celebrate each person's genius is so magical to me.
And it's such an act of humility as well, right? Because you have to be solid enough in your skin, and there's a humbleness to say, I need help with this, and then to be able to be open to receiving it, right? That there's that humility of allowing yourself to know that you matter enough to be able to receive help and give yourself the gift of receiving it and then being in partnership with people and being able to truly be present with their brilliance. So it's a mastery. It's a master move to be able to really be present with the brilliance in others, see how they can complement you, not take away from you, and then open up to and receive that support, receive that partnership, receive that shared vision and help. And there's one thing I do want to invite us to consider, that when you talked about the gremlins and the monkey mind, I actually want to suggest that when those get activated, it's good news.
Oh,
Because when you're dreaming something more expansive, right? And you hit on something where you activate the voice, you trigger the voice that says, who do you think you are? You have in that moment hit a limit that's beyond anything that you've ever known for yourself before. And one of the things that I help people understand is that the whole purpose of your dream is to wake you up into even more of your magnificence. And the
Mm.
only way we're going to do that is by hitting that edge where that voice wakes up. And so it's knowing how to then navigate that voice. And actually, many people call it a block. I don't necessarily see it as a block. I see it as navigating the gap between where you are and who you are to where it is that you want to be and who is it that you want to become. Because that desire, and so your desire, Michelle, to build this community, to bring people into this platform, to build a team, and as it activates the voices, it's life inviting you to discover even more of your brilliance and your magnificence, which means you have to cross the gap between where you currently are and who you're growing into. And so as you wake those voices up, it's leaning into it and transforming it as you keep moving your feet forward, remembering who you really are and what's the foundation upon which you stand. So it's not making them go away. There's a deeper transformation and literally a transcendence of who you were into who I am now. That's a match for what I'm creating. I hope that made
I
sense.
cannot believe how powerful this is. I'm going to re-listen to this several times and have it transcribed, because that right there is such a pathway for people to not feel pain. And
Yeah.
they recognize, because you're talking to somebody, Felicia, who has been a people pleaser my whole life up until now.
I
And
laugh because that's something I help my clients say. You know, when you hear yourself saying, I've always been this way up until now, because effectively you're telling your whole system, you're putting that alert, Captain,
up
Captain,
until now.
changing
And I
directions
want to
here.
share it's and I can't wait to introduce you to one of my dear friends, who I also was on the phone with crying this week. I've been crying a lot lately, but Lisa Varga. But we were talking, and this is what we were talking about, is truly, not being afraid to speak your truth, but also recognizing, it's your God-given right to be able to speak your truth about what you need. And your friends want that as well. I mean, they want to have that discussion with you where they want to know what it is that you need, because you're the only one that could do that, and they're the only ones that can do that for themselves.
Okay, what if we took it even a step further? Rather than it's your God-given right, it's your God-given accountability.
It's your God-given accountability as
That
a best friend, as a friend to yourself,
there's a
as a friend to yourself.
stewardship when there's a desire and a need. It's this life force seeking expression through that desire and need. And so again, it's not us going and asking, it's us being in service to that need or desire by expressing it and letting it express through us. So there's a
I want you to
stewardship.
repeat everything that you just said today. Okay. Can you do that? I mean, the nice thing is that we are recording it, because I think this is such a really important piece for my wellness team family, my family and friends. And please share this information, is how you can do life without having without having this
Yeah.
pain, is recognizing that to be of service is to be of service to yourself. It's the accountability piece to yourself spiritually,
Yeah.
to be able to go out and seek this information out and to be present to your genius.
That's it, which shows up in our desires and our needs, right? Because I think that's the thing that people dismiss and feel like you're being selfish and needy and you should just sacrifice for everybody else. And when we do that, we are shutting down the voice of God. That it's to understand that when something is knocking at the door of your heart, it's not you. it's not even you going to your friends and asking. It's you're just simply opening your mouth. It's God speaking through you, where this is now becomes a channel for love and the ability to receive love. And the people that you are asking are now being able to enter into that conversation of love. So there's only one conversation going on. It's the conversation of love, which is the conversation of God seeking expression through us.
Do you ever find yourself getting impatient or getting like what rattles you? Because everything you're saying makes so much sense. And then I think what happens is, we're in the heat of the battle, or, our ego is completely
Yeah.
raging. And we forget to show up in love and not fear. I mean, what happens when that happens?
Well, it's yeah. So what rattles me, it's 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 understanding that it is part of the human experience, right? And so I think the thing that rattles me is when I imagine expansively and I put energy into it, and it doesn't move as quickly or um, as robust as I would like it to move, as I think it's supposed to move, right? And so there's, the pattern. We all have patterns of how we interact. That these are the patterns that Spirit God is asking us to transform, or asking us to make ourselves to be available through the transformation as we step into our dream. So the one that I keep going deeper into is the one that says it's not going to work for me. Works for others, but it's not going to work for me. And so what I've done is that I've learned to recognize what that feeling feels like in my body, right? Because it shows up. And I really think that this is where the origin of dis-ease is when those voices get triggered, and it's not that they're there, but it's that we deny them or dismiss them or bury them. So what I have learned, and what I'm continuing to learn more deeply, is to learn to recognize, oh, okay, that's showing up in my heart right now. And so my heart is asking me to receive more love, or it's
Mm.
showing up, I'm feeling frozen in my throat right now. And so, all right, this dream, this voice of who do you think you are? This isn't going to work for me. It's in this moment, it's asking me to say something completely out of character for me. That the conversation I've been having up to this point is no longer fit for what I'm creating. And it's not even so much an external conversation, which absolutely it is, but it's more of an internal conversation. And so when I catch myself assuming it's not going to work, or expecting the worst from somebody, right? Um, it's and feeling that contraction and hearing the voice getting triggered in my head. It's that noticing what I'm noticing and doing what I call pattern interrupt. It's like, okay,
Mm.
where in me is that part of me asking for more love, to know my deeper connection? And what is it that I need to know right now? What is it that if I knew this, then I could take that next step forward from a place of assurance that as I have the desire, I have everything in me required to achieve this desire, and that I am worthy of receiving this desire because I'm here and I'm breathing, and I'm a divine being. I'm a divine child of the universe, of spirit, of God. So it's not that we don't get rattled, because again, you want to rattle that cage. You want to dream something so expansively that you activate those voices. You want to rattle that cage, right? But it's knowing what to do when the voices start speaking up, because that's where most people collapse. It's where most people shrink back and say, "Oh, you know what? You're right. Who do I shouldn't be doing this." And look, here's the evidence. It's not working. It's like,
Well, and that's how I'm understanding what you're saying is that that's how you're creating that assurance, but it's that safety. There's your safety in creating your playground right
that's
there.
it. Yeah.
That
And
is it.
it's when we put the illusion of our safety being out, right now we are going through a period of time where every norm of safety is just rattled to the bone. Literally, it's just dissolving under our feet, and people are scared, right? And when the fear is around, seeing the structures that we have depended on dissolving around us. For me, my take on this is that it's an invitation into a deeper conversation to know where our true safety lies. And when we can come home deeper into where our true safety lies,
Yeah.
then we're able to be present when the ground around us is shaking.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
It
And then we're
doesn't
able to
matter.
take that
Yeah.
stand with others.
Well,
And it's
I am so thankful that you are here. And I don't want this conversation to end. We're coming right up on the 5 o'clock mark where we will have music come on and we'll start dancing. But I got to tell you is thank you. Like just thank you for your genius. I don't think I've ever heard it explained more beautifully and more on point than I did
Thank you, Michelle.
for
I
this
really
call. I've
that
never heard it explained this way beautifully.
wow. I so appreciate that. And I take that as very high praise, knowing everybody, all the different people that you've been exposed to. So I graciously thank you for
Well,
that.
thank you. And we're going to have you back on. In fact, speaking of back on, I want to make sure that everybody is there for Love Fest 2020. I would love to extend to you a ticket and also for a +1. So, who lights up your life? Who has showed up during your life, Felicia,
Mm.
that has just really showed up in total love and really really showed you? So if you know who that is, but I can't wait to have them
Yeah.
and share
Well,
their
my
gifts.
+1's already been taken because it would be it would be
Mary
Mary
Morrissey.
Morrissey. And
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
yeah, and not that I don't know that my husband would come hang out, but I think my +1 would be Michael and I've been together for over 33 years. And
Okay, I think he should be coming. That is his ticket because he is exactly, and that's an opportunity for us. We're going to have a whole show on how these husbands show up. As I've got
yeah,
one for 25 years who's just my rock. I love
yeah.
that. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and we are going to go ahead and start rocking this in. So Connor, take it away on the music, but it has been such a joy. I can know why Catherine loves you so much. Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Thank you.
Oh,
For me and
Gentle.
you, and I think to myself,
oh, good one.
what a wonderful world.
Oh,
I see
this is good.
skies of blue.
This is